Can you please make some noise for Matisyahu? We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And we're lucky to have you perform like on what Matt said is the hottest May 18th in history.
I have to make a bracha for that. A shehechianu. It's a bracha you can make when something's never happened before, or when you do something brand new, like the first time you ever put a new jacket on.
Okay.
If it's the first time you put it on, you can make an actual blessing.
It's like popping the plastic.
So the fact that it's the hottest day of the year, that's never happened before, we can make the blessing.
I know, but I feel like we'll have even hotter days seeing as things are going.
Think it'll happen?
Most likely.
It's going to be really hot. Way too hot.
So how does it feel to be back here? You know, like you were just talking to us before, this is kind of your whole area. You graduated from New School, from White Plains. You started in Pennsylvania, but you're from White Plains, you know?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, I went to school down here. I was saying, like, I recorded with Good Charlotte, Darkness into Light, in this building right here. That's amazing. It's funny. New York is funny like that because it's like, now it's like 2004 I started, but before I was in college before that, I was living, so it's like you could, certain places I keep circling back to now. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I was here like today we did another thing, and it was in a place like where I first recorded Shake Off the Dust, and I haven't been there in like 15 years.
So what did it feel like walking back in there?
What's that?
What did it feel like walking back in there?
It's just crazy because it's changed so much. Like when I was there, it was a whole different place. But New York is like that. It's like you walk down a block and you just be like, oh, I remember the time I walked down the block, and you know, this used to be Tower Records here. I remember like right when I got engaged, like my ex, her brothers are all lawyers and like doctors, and they're all religious. They've been raised religious, and like this kid comes from like who's not from a religious family. He wants to be a rapper or sing reggae or something. He wants to marry this girl's daughter, and I'm like, her parents like, how are you gonna make a living? And we're walking by this place used to be Tower Records. We're walking by here, and there's pictures on the out. I said, watch. Next time we pass this place, my picture's gonna be on the outside of here.
And that came true.
Literally, like I went on tour, came back, signed a record deal. I was out with them. I was walking by here, and Youth, the cover of Youth, was on the cover right outside on this Tower Records right here. So New York is like that. It's like, you know, you have these moments. I've had these moments in my life, and I'll just be walking like the same. I know the block where I shaved my beard, in the Supercuts that I shaved my beard in.
It's in Upper West Side, right?
Yeah. I remember the exact block. I might just be walking there like for some random reason. I'll be like, oh, this street impacted my life. Yeah. You know.
It's funny because talk about shaving your beard, you gain like a certain level of anonymity with that, which actually climaxed in you being in Hawaii and someone performing your music and not knowing you were there. Yeah. And what is it like almost now to move through the world with this, you know, genre, with this discography, right, and the fame, but it's like you're like kind of camouflaged now.
Yeah, it's great. It's incredible. It's perfect because it's like maybe 2 people will notice me in an airport, which is the perfect amount for my ego to just be like, okay, feels good, but still enough that I can, like, you know, look like a slob. Yeah. You know, and not have to worry about it.
It's like no TMZs.
I don't have to wear my out clothes because people are going to take pictures of me. You know, I can still be normal or whatever, wear sweatpants to the airport.
And that was a big moment in your career and your life, and it seems like I remember I was seeing you speaking about it. It's like there were certain people that kind of looked at you one way, but it kind of leveled out who was attending your shows because people that were coming to your shows because they liked you for the super religious type, and the others that necessarily liked you for the other type, they kind of brought it down the middle for you.
Yeah, no. That experience for me was like literally shaving. Like it was not just shaving my beard, it was like shaving all the areas of my life. Like, so, you know, it's like people that I felt I needed, at a certain point I felt, okay, if everything shifted for me inside, then why would I like put on a show? You know what I mean? So, okay, but what about like the kids that I'm influencing, or what about all the people that might, you know, change or their opinions or any of that? I try not to think about that and just always work from the inside out. When you have like a career in art, you always have to worry about the art first, which comes from your life. It has to come from the inside out. And then always later on, I figure out the second half later, like how the world will take it or deal with it or whatever. You know, for better or worse, it can be a painful way to do things, but that's just the way it's gone for me. So it was just a realization that, okay, there's a lot of people that know you, which is great, but they don't necessarily know your music. They know of you. And it's funny because the people that have these strong opinions are the people that just know of you, of a thing called this Matisyahu, who's this represents the Orthodox or Hasidic people, but he does reggae. But the fans, they know the music, they know the lyrics, they know the journey, they know what I've been through. And so for those people, it was like, okay, they stayed. But for the other people that was just an image or something to make people feel a certain way, then that just went away.
Do you feel that there was a sense of packaging you as a novelty act?
No, it wasn't packaging because it was just me. Like, I remember, like, I put Tefillin, like, on the head of Epic Records. Like, that was my thing. I was into. When we went to, like, I remember when, like, I went the indie label guy up to the major label. You know, it was like I had a break. I think I got the afternoon off from yeshiva. I had no idea what was happening. I didn't know that meant that I was getting signed to a major label. Wow. I thought we were just going to visit Epic, you know? And we get up there, it's like the doors open and the elevator to the top floor. And they put my music on, you know, they had my picture there and everything. And it's like, I went in there, and the first thing I thought is like, this guy's last name, he's definitely Jewish. And I took my tefillin out, I'm putting tefillin on this guy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I don't know how I was even telling, why I'm even telling that story. I lose track.
Well, you know what, one thing I will say is there is an energy that you were giving off. You seem, dare I say it, happy. You seem excited.
I was so excited. Like sharing my music, like it's all starting to make sense. I've been this like character my whole life, this strange bird, you know? Yeah. And all of a sudden, like people all of a sudden start to appreciate it and like it. It's like, that's the most amazing feeling in the world. I've been living in a basement for 2 years, eating like, you know, shechted chicken from Kaparis, from Yom Kippur, like, you know what I mean? I haven't seen daylight, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden, like, I'm on TV.
I know, right?
And people are like, think I'm important and stuff, you know? It's cool. Felt good. Of course I was happy. My parents all of a sudden were like, cool, whatever. Acidic, dreadlocks, whatever you want.
It's like we're down with it all.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. How often, there was a genius annotation that you did for your song Thunder, and you were speaking about how you were looking back at those lyrics, and they took on a different meaning to you, seeing as the evolution that you've gone through. So how often are you looking at your old discography, and it's almost like watching a movie twice, and you just see certain Easter eggs that you didn't see before? Yeah,
it's like a lot of my lyrics, when I write them, they just feel right, and I'm not always specifically talking about one person or one thing, but it's just, and then later on in my life, I'll go through it. Like, the perfect example is this record and the last record, Akeda and Undercurrent. Like, they go together. It's like the mountain and the water, like the mountains and the river. It's tied together. It's like fire and water, you know? And I had a dream. It was the whole idea for Akeda, where I was in this like old Moroccan synagogue. Yeah. And
let's do this.
It was crazy. It was a crazy dream. I remember it so vividly. And there was a tiger, like a baby tiger, and I was like hanging out with it in synagogue. It's, you know.
Yeah, this is
the mind of. So all of a sudden the mom saw it, and she started spitting fire. Like,
wait, your mom or
no,
the mom of the tiger?
The tiger of the mom, the baby's tiger, mom, okay. Mother's brother,
yes,
uncles,
sister's
cousin.
Yeah.
No, the baby tiger's mother.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why was that so difficult for me? Oh my God. So yeah, there's fire. She's like spitting fire at me, and I'm like afraid in my dream, because in dreams usually relate to the emotions more than anything else. It's just a feeling. I remember this intense fear of this fire coming at me, and then all of a sudden I just realized, I was like, wait, I'm not burning. It's like the burning bush, right? Like Moses sees the burning bush. I'm like, I'm not burning. I was like, why? I'm like, oh, because I'm from the water. I'm Cancer, right? I'm from the water. I was like, oh, Moshe is drawn from the water. That's humility. And why did he see the burning bush? Because he was made from water. And all of a sudden, I realized I was holding the fire because my hands were made out of water, and the flame itself was made out of water. And that's the whole thing, Undercurrent. I moved back to New York. It's like I live on the Hudson River. I moved back to the water. It's like the currents underneath the water. And Akeda for me was like the mountaintop. I actually lived in Hollywood Hills, like on a hill, you know? And it was like, that was about fire. That was my breakthrough, breaking through all the things, you know? It's crazy. Climactic moments in my life. And this whole record is about really, you know, you have moments, you have breakthrough moments, you have your life, all these things. It's about reflection, looking back on things, and it's the truth.
It really does feel like that. Yeah. Like, we were just actually back to the old was just playing, right? And like it's like this is in front of me, and then you had a line on there about the BQE, you know, and I'm like listening to it, and it feels so New York. That one, especially that one record, and it feels so New York. And but at the same time, in Headright, you talk about going to LA, and it almost feels like you need to go back there to get your head right. Am I correct?
Right, you know, it's medicinally.
Yes, yes.
No, no. LA was like, I was talking about going and moving to LA was like, that's right when I wrote Sunshine. I wrote that song Sunshine, and that was in LA, and then coming back, back to the old. So it's like step out into the light. It's like me going to California, step out. And all your life you've been searching, you've been reaching, you've been moving, you've been on this whole thing, whether it was a Shiva or whatever it was, like on this search, looking for this thing. And then back to the old is like, okay, you had this breakthrough moment, Abraham on the mountain with Isaac, where you just sacrificed everything that you knew because you heard this, like, you heard God, you heard everything that, you thought somehow would flip to some extent. And then back to the old is like, all right, well, what's real, after philosophy and ideas and emotional, spiritual, climactic moments is what's real is the people right in front of me and the places that I am, the real relationships, real people, which is actually a very Hasidic idea. It's like Hasidus is very much about the realness. And that's kind of what the back to the old is about, like coming back to some aspect of myself,
Do you feel like you found it?
No, I never find it. I'm always off. I hit the mark and then I don't have good stamina. I'm not a long distance runner. I'm a sprinter. That's the name of the game for me, is to learn how to do it long distance, because I'm like a roller coaster ride.
Was there a defining moment in this record? Like, I know your last one was when you came off tour, and it was from a lot of improvisational jamming, and you kind of crafted it out into a record. But how did you approach this one? And like I started, was there a defining moment that kind of brought this one together? Yeah,
this record came together through just being like tired of people being like, we want to hear certain songs. And I realized that what they mean is not that they want to hear those songs, but they want to hear those songs like exactly how they know them, like the record. And I've always I love pop music, I love roots reggae music, so I made all kinds of songs, all kinds of music, different genres. And people get really kind of confused or irritated sometimes when they don't hear it. So I said, I just want to make a record that is what I actually do, live, like on a regular basis, like people go to work. I can sit in the studio and make pop songs or whatever kind of songs, but what do I actually do day to day, like to feed my family? I'm on the road, I tour, I play shows, and what do I want to do when I play shows? I have to be inspired. I have to be. I can't do it otherwise. It just doesn't go. I get depressed.
So what's lighting your fire now?
Just music, whatever. I just have to. Now I just rely on the music. I don't try to set it up too much or put too much pressure on myself. I honestly, when I perform, it's not a performance. It feels like the rest of the day, everything that happens. When I make music now, it's just I forget about everything else. I just try to just listen and feel.
I could watch you on your Facebook Lives. You just jamming, and you just walking through the house.
I get crazy. I fell off my skateboard the other day.
I didn't see that one.
Too much in my bathrobe. Listening to Tweezer. I don't know, Monday morning or something. I don't know what I was about. I'm out of my mind. So get some more water. I don't know. Here it is. I'm good. Don't worry about me.
So I know you were saying you travel. You're on the road. You're providing for your family, and you've performed with your children a couple times. Have you been able to do it again recently?
I think my son, he did it. He was really excited about it, and now he's like, all right. Cool.
Oh, because he's aware of it now, right?
Yeah, okay. I remember when it happened. He was out on tour with me, and he's got a good voice, and I've never done anything except try to play good music for them, because that's what my parents did. I feel like they play good music, and then if they're musical, they'll learn from it. So there's this one song called "Unruly Prayer" by Popcorn. It's just kind of
I love Popcorn.
But that song is kind of just an obscure kind of there's no real beat in it or whatever, but it's a give thanks. I used to play that every day on the way to school. And then all of a sudden, I realized my son is he's singing it with a patois. He doesn't know any Jamaicans, you know what I mean? But just from listening, he's got the thing. He can hear it and then be like, oh, like he gets it, and then he's able to do it. That's what I have. That's kind of like what I have. So I never say anything. Then I'll just be like, all right, but let me play this and see what happens. Let me play this every day for a month and see what happens. My kids start singing. Then they start singing harmonies or whatever. But so the time came in, and I was like, we're doing the song tonight. Why don't you do it? And he took it seriously. He was like, he got nervous. Actually, that's an okay story. But one day, we had some stuff. I had some press around this EP we released, and the song's got a high part, and I was having a hard time with my voice that day. So I was like, boys, I will let you come. I will let you miss school. Come into the city, but you got to sing. You got to sing the chorus.
Miss school.
Yeah, miss school, but you have to sing the chorus because I can't sing it. And they learned it. We learned it on the Henry Hudson Parkway on the way down. I played it over and over again. We sang it over and over again. And we got here, and they did it. They kind of pulled it off pretty good.
That's phenomenal.
Good enough.
I mean, it's good enough.
No one knew, like, oh, Modest can't hit the note, you know.
It's good enough.
The cutest kids are singing a song.
That's amazing, though.
That's genius, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to get your kids involved.
Could you imagine what the letter to the teacher is for that? Did you write him a letter?
I was like, just send the link, you know. Just send the link. It's over. Game over. You're good to go for the rest of middle school.
Do you feel like your music has grown more secular? Because I know you do have a record about faith on this.
I don't think so, because in terms of like the following, I mean, oh shit, excuse me.
Oh, you can curse. You're good.
Oh, we're on the.
It's the internet.
It's okay, great. We're on the web.
Yes, the World Wide Web.
So yeah, what was the question?
Do you feel like your music has grown more secular?
Yeah. I think that it happened very quickly where I went from yeshiva to playing like a Hanukkah show at Southpaw, was sold out. A Purim show at Mercury Lounge that was sold out. And those initial shows was like, okay, there's definitely a lot of religious people here. And literally it was like, okay, once the song hit the radio, a few months after that, it was like right away the audience went secular. You know, there's always religious and Jewish people that are connected to the music, but right away it went from like 300 people in a room to 7,000 people. So that's not all. You know, the communities aren't that big. So that happened right away. And then, and my music, you know, I didn't come from a religious background, so I never like envisioned that my music would be for just religious people or anything like that. Was never even anywhere in my orbit.
But you spoke to those folks.
Yeah, because I still do, you know, and any of those folks that actually like are deep individuals, and a lot of them are here. You know, there's, you know, my music isn't for religious or non-religious or Jewish or non-Jewish people. The people that are deep with it, that give it the time, or for whatever reason give it a chance and sit with it, they see, like, to this very day, it's all coming from the building blocks, the foundation of my whole, you know, philosophy, which comes from Torah. That's where I learned. That's where I spent my time. So I'm not like blindly following it, but that's you know, in a big way, Kabbalah and Hasidus, and you know, my teacher, the way that I learned it, it's like martial arts almost. It's like, you know, the way that, you know, I searched for a while till I found the right way to take it in, and when I found that, I dedicated myself to a certain way of thinking, and whether or not I'm religious or not is not the point, but the thinking, the way that I see things, comes from a certain place.
To me, it really feels like you were searching. You know, you went to Oregon when you were younger, and you became very devoutly religious, and then you did this music career, and then now it feels like through this evolution that you found yourself. I don't know if that's a little too deep, but that's what...
No, it's all self. It's like all different aspects of self. I don't think I've found myself. I mean, I think I'm a shapeshifter. I'm a chameleon. I was born on the 5th of Tammuz, which is when Ezekiel saw his chariot with 4 faces on the chariot.
You lost me.
I got it. That's in response.
Well, I mean, I did go to Catholic school, but that was...
Yeah. I think we all have a lot of different sides to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And part of finding yourself is allowing yourself to become different people. A lot of times we get very early on, we get tied to our way of thinking. You know, one way of thinking. or whatever it is, the way that we see the world. You know what I mean? And we become afraid. We like, that's the way I do it. That's the way I see it. That's the music I listen to or the way I dress. And that becomes your identity. And a lot of times that becomes everything. And most people aren't willing to shatter that identity. That's who they are. So, you know, the fact to me, it's like the ability to give yourself over completely to something and lose yourself is how you can expand as a person. And you'll always, hopefully, you'll always come back to a certain core thing. That's you. That's who you are.
There's like a core reality.
Yeah, there's a core you. But then, you know, sometimes it's like the seed you got to break down in order to move on to something else. The caterpillar and the butterfly, if you will.
Yeah,
the mouse who becomes the eagle. No? Jumping mouse? You never heard that story, Jumping Mouse?
No, I have not heard that one.
Probably never. I don't know why you would have heard that story. It's a random reference.
I'm going to look it up after this stuff, for sure.
My first song I ever did was called Jumping Mouse.
When you were MC Truth?
Yep.
Wait, why
question.
That's a part of your...
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Your first rap name was MC Truth.
Yes, thank you for saying that now 3 times.
And tell us about the first rap song.
Well, my first experiences were, you know, when I lived in Oregon. I was like 18 years old, and there was this place called Cafe Parody, a coffee shop. A lot of cowboys used to sing there and stuff. And I met this dreadlocked hippie dude, you know, in the park who could play guitar, and we started, you know, playing together, songs and stuff. So I would come in, you know, to this open mic night, and I would have like a turban wrapped around me and like sage robes. We would drink mushroom tea. I would come in with like an Israeli flag and be like straight up like dressed in the most like crazy garbs, and we would call them Mystical Truth, MC Mystic and MC Truth. Dude, this is like 1990.
That's a pretty dope name.
98 maybe. I was like 17. Yeah, it's incredible. You gotta find video. There's video.
There's video?
You can find video.
Oh my gosh.
Send your assistant to search the YouTube.
I wish I had an assistant. That's the first stop. We got some questions from the audience.
Hey, Matisyahu. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Yes.
Talking about Shechianu, I probably have to make one myself because
do it right now. I'll say I'm mad.
I haven't seen you in a while, you know. So
yeah, all right, make a Shechianu. Come on, we'll do it together.
It's good.
It's been a while for me too.
I'm actually from LA.
No, really, Baruch.
What?
Nah, I'm messing. There you go.
So I grew up religious, you know, in a religious home out in LA.
What's your name?
Yosef, Karendian. And I spent a year studying in Israel before coming out here to New York, and I study at Yeshiva now, Yeshiva University. So, you know, you were talking about how you grew up here, you know, you lived in LA for a number of years, you go visit Hawaii and you travel the world. What's it like? You know, what's it like traveling the world? How do you know, like, where you go or where you want to be? And, you know, once I graduate, you know, from Yeshiva, do I go back to LA? Do I stay here? Do I go down to Florida? Do I go to Hawaii? You know, go back to Israel? Or
go where the money is. Unless there's a woman or something in the picture, go where the money is.
Is that what?
Unless, or if you have a passion, that would be the best thing. But if you don't have a passion, go where the money is. Make the best out of things.
Is your passion what took you to, you know, travel the world and go around, or was that because, you know, that you felt that was the right thing to do, you know?
I felt I had no option like that I would not be happy unless I was making music. So it wasn't an option. And then I felt when I felt like I was incapable of getting there, then I just like gave myself to God and said forget it. And then it happened.
Yeah.
When I kind of like let go of it.
So like you also mentioned the Akeda and all that, and a lot of like religious Jewish terms. And you know, I look around in the audience, and you know, you're worldwide famous. How do you relate to, you know, non-Jewish people who might not understand like what Shechianu means?
I'll tell you how I relate to it. One time I was at Bonnaroo, and we had a tent called the Shabbos tent because one year some Jewish kids were like, Matisyahu, why are you leaving for Shabbos? Make a Shabbos here. I was like, oh, there's Jewish kids here. I didn't realize that. And, you know, I was like, okay, so we made Shabbos tent. And anyone could come. And I remember, like, this one dude from the South with, like, long hair, not Jewish. And he was like straight up, like he saw us praying. We were praying like mincha. And we were just like saying the words and just trying to get through it so we could get to the next thing. And this dude was straight like crying, man. He was like, he had a full breakdown, like a full on emotional boom. And it was like so pure and so like truthful. And I was like, yeah, it's not about Jewish or not Jewish.
Oh, we have another question?
How you doing? I'm
Hi.
Danae. Your music is dope, by the way.
Thank you.
So I have a question. What advice would you give to an upcoming artist or any artist really that feels like they've been stuck in their way or like stuck in the past and they can't get anywhere and they just feel like giving up, especially if music is like their whole life? Like, what advice would you give for them for like not giving up?
I think if you love music, you just make music. And then you can try to hustle and get your music heard, you know? But at the end of the day, if the universe isn't responding, you know what I mean? Then you just forget about it. You just say, like, fuck the world. And you just go to your room and you make music, you know? And probably when you let go, that's when maybe something miraculous will happen, you know? You just do it for the truth.
I have one question to add on to that. What about business-wise? Because this is all produced by you. You changed your management. So what advice would you give to artists that are just starting in terms of keeping their business arrangements set? And then we'll go to the final question.
I think a lot of it is it's really hard. It's really hard to know, like, especially when you're first starting, who to trust and the right people to trust and how to do it. I think the best is to try to learn as much as you can before it's happening. You know, there's like books you can read and try to know the business and if that's the goal, try to know the business end of it so that when it does, if God willing, you are able to let go and the stars align and the music is right, then you know what's happening, you know what's flying. You don't just have to listen to someone who's gonna come swoop you off your feet and be like, I got this. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, it's like, where's all the money? Oh, the lawyer bills are $200,000 a month. Aren't you supposed to do that? You know what I mean? So you got to know what's flying, and the more you can know, like study up, then the less of a chance you're gonna get fucked.
Putting it bluntly.
Hi, yeah. So I actually have a question about one of your older songs. One Day. That was actually the first song of yours that I had ever listened to, but I actually first listened to it on NBA 2K10, and I just wanted to ask you, like, was that like a really cool experience for you to have like your one of your songs like featured on something like that?
What was it on?
On NBA 2K10.
Nice.
Did you even know that? Wow. I was gonna ask you.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So if you got to know what's flying, you know what I mean? There's money coming in on that.
You might want to go get that.
Where's that at?
Well, then, I guess another question that I can ask you then is, how has it been just going from, like, the initial, like, people not expecting you to be who, like, you know, you're coming up being this, like, something that people aren't used to seeing, to now being basically world famous? How does that transition been for you?
Well, it's been like 20 years. So, I've gone through all the, like, overnight thing and then, like, the working hard thing and, still working hard thing and still working hard thing. So, this is just, to me, it just feels like life now, There was, like, a week where it felt like crazy, yeah.
Cool.
Nice. So before we get out of here and to your performance, talk to us about your bar mitzvah.
My bar mitzvah?
Yeah, we were talking.
Oh, because I said I like his earring. I'm like, that's actually making me want to have an earring. And I have my ears pierced. And I was like, oh, for my bar mitzvah, my mother was like, okay, you can get your ear pierced.
That's dope.
That was like the goal. Get my ear pierced. Gleaming in the Cube, Christian Slater had that like dangling. You remember a skateboard movie? I was like, I need that.
It's very mid-90s.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the long one. And what else happened on my bar mitzvah?
It was in White Plains, small Italian restaurant.
Yeah, that was probably the highlight. The next earring I got was I worked at a farm stand. This crazy girl that worked there was like wanted to pierce my ear, and I let her, and I bled all over the vegetables. Right there in Scarsdale, New York. People, yeah, you got that. He's bleeding all the vegetables.
Thank you, Matisyahu.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Can you please make some noise? Make sure you all stick around. We got a treat for you. But Undercurrent drops tomorrow wherever dope music is found. But for now, Matisyahu's going to perform for us. Maybe we'll get a stage dive. Hold on. You know?